A lot of people have asked us about the difference between a Gaiwan and a Shiboridashi teapot. These two simple tea vessels are essentially a bowl and a lid, but they serve very different functions when it comes to brewing. In this video, I'm going to brew the same tea in both a Gaiwan and a Shiboridashi to see how they compare. But first, let's meet our teaware. The Shiboridashi is a very unique Japanese teapot. While most Japanese teas are prepared in the side-handled Kyushu teapot, the Shiboridashi tends to be reserved for premium green teas like Gyokuro and Kabuse Sencha. It has a much flatter base and a smaller capacity. This one holds about 70 milliliters of water, compared to the 300 milliliter capacity of our red Kyushu teapot. This is meant to brew up super concentrated cups of tea, with a lot of leaves and only a tiny amount of water. The reason it's flat is so all the leaves can be submerged while they brew evenly, even in a small amount of water. While brewing with a Shiboridashi, you usually use lower temperature water so you can hold the teapot directly. You don't need a side handle. The name Shiboridashi roughly translates to squeeze out, which is exactly what you're doing when you're brewing a tea with it. The Gaiwan is very similar, but it's meant for a different type of tea. These fluffier Chinese teas need more vertical space compared to the tightly rolled Japanese Gyokuro, so the Gaiwan is perfect. The name Gaiwan essentially translates to lid and bowl, and it emerged as a simple way for farmers to prepare teas without all the fancy teapots. Eventually, the design evolved, and now it's used by tea connoisseurs all around the world. The Gaiwan is simple, practical, and it allows the brewer to have a lot of control over the cup. For example, you can pour the water along the rim to cool it off before it hits the leaves. You can set the aperture of the lid to determine how much or how little of the leaf you want in the cup, and you have much more control over the speed of the pour. If you're working with the super short brewing times of gongfu brewing, every second counts, and you want to get the water out of the leaves quickly so it doesn't overbrew. The Shiboridashi does have one key feature that the Gaiwan does not have. Unlike the Kyushu teapot, the Shiboridashi has a simple system of grooves that acts as a rudimentary filter. This Shiboridashi was one I picked up from the master potter Sawa Hotsan after visiting him in Shigaraki. Watching him carve these grooves was like watching a master painter. Each stroke was so simple and yet so calculated. It takes decades of practice to make it look this easy. If you want to pick up your own Shiboridashi from Sawa Hotsan, we still have a few left on our website, neoteas.com. Anyways, these grooves are important because the leaves of Japanese green teas are much smaller than Chinese teas. This is the main reason that I personally use the Shiboridashi for Gyokuro rather than the Gaiwan, but I'm really going to try to set the aperture thin enough to make it a fair comparison. For this experiment, we're going to be using the Gyokuro Kiwami from Mr. Sakamoto in Shibushi. This is a long-shaded, umami-rich tea from the Seimei cultivar. Sakamoto was actually one of the first farmers to grow this new cultivar, and when we visited him back in 2019, we got to check in on the baby tea plants. Now they're all grown up and producing some delicious Gyokuro tea. Gyokuro is meant to be a celebration of this savory or umami flavor that's popular in Japanese cuisine. If done right, it's meant to taste almost like a rich soup broth, thanks to the high amino acid content in the leaves. It also needs to be prepared a special way, usually with a high leaf to water ratio, low temperature, and a longer brewing time. We're going to be using 5 grams of leaves, 50 milliliters of 60-degree water, and a brewing time of 2 minutes. I'll start by adding 5 grams of leaves into both the Gaiwan and Shiboridashi, and then pour in 50 milliliters of water at a temperature of 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll let these teas brew for 2 minutes while we take a look at what's happening inside. As you can see, the shape of these two brewing vessels is becoming a factor here. The Gaiwan is taller and narrower, so with this volume of water, the leaves are really pushing up against the sides. We'll explain why that's important later. The Shiboridashi, on the other hand, is giving the leaves more space to roam free. Even with a small volume of water, the leaves are still able to expand outwards because the Shiboridashi is so flat. This is important for 2 reasons. First, it means that these leaves are able to open up fully and release their flavor into the water. It also allows the leaves to brew evenly, as the water can circulate through the flatter clump of leaves. But that's just the theory. Now let's see it in practice. You see the Shiboridashi has a nice consistent pour because the filter gives just enough space for the tea to pour out, but not any of the leaves. With the Gaiwan, it's a little bit trickier. Maybe for those real gongfu warriors out there, this is easy. But for someone who mostly brews Japanese teas, I have a pretty hard time keeping the leaves out with a Gaiwan. I'll try to set the gap between the lid and the bowl as narrow as possible, so these super thin leaves don't make it into the cup. As you can see, I did pretty well. There are still a few small leaf fragments inside, but it's nothing unmanageable. These leaf fragments in the cup are going to continue brewing, so the tea might taste overbrewed if I let it sit too long. When I compare the two teas, I notice the Gaiwan brewed Gyokuro is slightly grassier and a little bit thinner in texture. There's a hint of this cantaloupe melon and steamed asparagus, but nothing to make this tea really stand out amongst a lineup of Gyokuro. Then we have the Shiboridashi, which felt like meeting this tea for the first time. I've had many sessions with this Gyokuro Kiwami, but mostly in the Kyushu. I had this tasting note I'd been struggling with for a long time, and after recently returning from a trip to Italy and brewing this tea up in a Shiboridashi, I have to say that it tastes a lot like pistachio gelato. I know it seems crazy, but once I noticed it, I think about it every time. It's this sweet, nutty, and slightly salty note, just like the really natural pistachio gelato that you get. In addition to that, there's a hint of sweet spice, licorice, cumin, and even a hint of bubblegum. There's a tiny bit of that bubblegum note in the Gaiwan brewed Gyokuro, but not quite what you get in the Shiboridashi. The Shiboridashi Gyokuro also has a much denser texture and a thicker mouthfeel. This is important because when you drink Gyokuro, you're not only meant to savor the flavor, but also the texture as it glides over your tongue. This is why it's brewed in such strong concentrations, to really push out that umami flavor and also concentrate the tea into a thick, gel-like shot of Gyokuro. And if you're going to try to recreate this, the Shiboridashi is the best tool for the job. This is what all the pros use, and if you're lucky enough to find Gyokuro being served at a tea shop in Japan, they will likely prepare it in a Shiboridashi or a flat Kyushu. If you want to get your own Shiboridashi, you can pick one up from Sawa Hotsan for a limited time on our website, neoteas.com. I bought 2 of these when I visited him last March, and I have to say, they've really taken my Gyokuro game to the next level. I feel like I can see these teas in full definition now, and really pinpoint on those tasting notes. If you have a Gaiwan at home, you can absolutely use it for Gyokuro so you can recreate this experience for yourself. The Gaiwan brew tea is still very good, but trying them side by side, I do notice a difference. If you want to pick up a pack of this Gyokuro Kiwami from Mr. Sakamoto, you can find it on our website, neoteas.com. He's been growing Gyokuro organically for over 40 years now, and was just recently named the top tea farmer in Japan. After trying dozens of Gyokuro teas all around Japan, the ones produced by Sakamoto are really in a league of their own. We'd really love to share them with you. Another way to support this channel is by liking this video and subscribing to see more tea videos in the future. Until then, we'll see you next time.